Welcome to my channel Commons with Vikas sir. Today I have come with practical problems on accounting for bills of exchange. In last three episode of part 1, part 2, part 3, I have already discussed all the items related to bills of exchange and promissory note. So this is my first practical video on bills of exchange. So from today I will be uploading more videos regularly relating to bills of exchange. So on my first episode I would like to start practical class with little introduction of theory also, because this is very essential while understanding the practicals. So while dealing with bills of exchange, we all know there are three parties involved in bills of exchange. One is the drawer, second is the drawee, and third is the payee. In most cases, drawer himself is the payee, because payee is the person who will be paid the amount on the due date, to whom the amount is payable. So these are the who will be the payee. It depends upon the following four cases. When a bill is drawn and retained till maturity, the payee will be the drawer himself. When bill is drawn but discounted with banker, the bank will be the payee. When bill is drawn and enrolled to creditor, then creditor will be the payee. When bill is drawn but sent for collection, here also bank will be the payee. There are so four situations where you have to deal with bills of exchange. So one is when bill is drawn and retained till maturity, second is when bill is drawn but discounted with banker, and third is when bill is drawn and endorsed to creditor, and last one is when bill is drawn but sent for collection. So we have to deal with each item separately. And today my lecture will be limited to, or my discussion will be limited to, first case when bill is drawn and retained till maturity. So you should understand here the who is the drawer means. In case of bills of exchange, drawer is the seller who sell goods on credit, so he is the supplier or he is the creditor. So drawer, seller, supplier, creditor, same thing. Likewise, who is the drawee means the buyer or debtor or customer, so he is the drawee. So you please don't forget to take the screenshot as visible on the screen. I think it is noticeable or legible to all of you. So now we have to learn how to pass journal entries in the books of the drawer and the drawee. So whatever may be the case, the first situation arises when goods are sold and bought on credit regarding trade bill. So when goods are sold by the seller and purchased by the buyer on credit, the entry should be in the books of the drawer, that is the seller. The entry will be debtor's account to sales, being goods sold on credit. When goods are sold on credit, the drawer will, or the seller will pass the entry debtor's account to sales, and the drawee's entry will be purchase account debit to creditors, purchase to creditors. After purchasing or selling goods, in order to ensure payment and order to relieve from the fear of bad debts, the drawer and the drawee will sign a written agreement known as bills of exchange. For the drawer, it is a bills receivable, and for the drawee, it is a bills payable. Okay. So when bill is drawn by drawer and accepted by the drawee, what will be the entry? Let's have a look. So whenever bill is drawn, the entry will be bills receivable account debit to drawee in the books of the drawer. Every cases, you just memorize it. It is a formula. So whenever bill is drawn in the books of the drawer, the entry will be bills receivable account debit to drawee. The drawee is the debtor. He is credited because when goods were sold on credit, he would have been debited as appear on the screen. And the drawee, for drawee it is a bills payable. So bills payable is a liability, so it is always credited. And the drawee will make the entry Drawer to bills payable. Drawer to bills payable, because when he purchased goods on credit, he has credited the drawer or the creditor. Now, upon accepting the bills, he has to debit the drawer and credit the bills payable. So, my dear students, you have to memorize this. This is a formula. So, whenever bill is drawn, the drawer's entry will be bills receivable to debtors or the drawee, and in the books of the drawee, the entry will be creditors or drawer to bills payable. So after that, if the bill is retained till maturity on the due date, the entry will be when the bill is matured or honored at maturity, the drawee will make payment and the drawer will receive the amount. So he will debit bank account and he will credit bills receivable, because after receiving the bill, one has to cancel the bills receivable account. So when bill is honored, that is when bill is received, paid by the drawee and received by the drawer, the journal will be bank account debit to bills receivable. This entry is valid only when the bill is retained till maturity. So when the bill is retained till maturity, upon honoring of the bill, the drawee will pass the entry as bank to bills receivable, and drawee will pass the entry of payment of bills. So he has to cancel the bills payable. So you will write bills payable to bank. Drawer's entry will be bills receivable to bank to bills receivable, and drawee's entries will be bills payable to bank. But what if the bill is dishonored? Dishonored means the drawee did not pay the bill. The drawee fails to pay the bill. This is called dishonored of the bill. If bill is dishonored, so if it is bill is honored or dishonored, then definitely bill has to be cancelled. So you have to credit bills receivable and you have to debit drawee. So whenever bill is dishonored, it is very important to note, whenever bill is dishonored, then the drawer will always debit the drawee account and he will credit the bills receivable account if it is retained till maturity. But in order to establish the fact that the bill has been dishonored, the drawer will go to the notary public. He will place the bill to establish the fact that it has been dishonored. So the drawer has to pay certain amount as a charges to the notary, and which is known as noting charges. So whosoever is holding the bill has to pay the noting charges. So when the drawer pays the bills, drawer pays the noting charges, then he will have to incur some expenses, but that expenses is due to the negligence of the drawee. So ultimately, the drawer will recover the amount from the drawee. Though initially the drawer will make payment of noting charges to the notary, but afterwards he will recover from the drawee. But he will not pass any separate entry for noting charges. So whenever bill is dishonored, so drawer will debit the drawee account and he will credit the bills receivable account. So the drawee will be debited with the face value of the bills receivable plus the noting charges paid by him to the notary public. So the entry will be drawer to bills receivable. Drawer to bills receivable. If you see it clear, if you are watching this, it is clear. Then I have given the note. Drawer is debited with value of bills receivable plus noting charges if paid by the drawer. Drawer does not pass separate entry for noting charges. So we are not seeing any entry as noting charges in the book of the drawer. So whenever bill is dishonored, drawer has to debit the drawee and to credit the bills receivable in case of retaining the bill. However, what will be the entry in the books of the drawee? So whenever bill is dishonored, the drawee has to cancel bills payable. So he will debit the bills payable, and in every cases he will credit the drawer. In every cases, drawer will debit the drawee in case of dishonored, and in every cases of dishonored, the drawee will credit the drawer. So the entry for dishonor in the books of the drawee will be bills payable to drawer. But you cannot debit bills receivable with the amount bills payable with the amount of bills payable plus noting charges. So here the drawee has to pass a separate entry to show the amount of noting charges which he has to pay to the drawer. So what the drawer will pass, a drawer will pass entry, you will pass the entry of bills payable account debit, noting charges account debit to drawer, bills payable noting charges to drawer account. So separate entry is passed by the drawer for noting charges. So this is very important. Okay, so let us revise the same thing. So when bill is drawn and retained, the what will be the entry? First entry for goods sold, debtor or drawee to be sales. Then when bill is drawn, bills receivable, drawee when bill is honored, bank to bills receivable when bill is dishonored, then drawee to bank including noting charges. But in the books of the drawee, the first entry for will be for goods purchase. So you will pass purchase to creditor or to drawer. Then upon acceptance of bill, the entry will be drawer to bills payable when bill is honored, bills payable to bank when bill is dishonored, bills payable account debit, noting charges account debit to drawer. So you have to memorize these journal entries. So this much for today. I was planning to discuss one practical problems in this class, but this video already consists of nearly 12 minutes. So my first class or my first episode ends with a journal entry relating to when bill is drawn and retained till maturity. So tomorrow I will come with the practical problems, that is episode 2. So please subscribe the channel so that you will be notified as soon as I upload the video. Till then, goodbye.